The latest New York Times CBS News poll shows the number of people who think the U.S. is on the wrong track is at 70%, the highest it has been since the final days of George W. Bush's presidency. President Obama now gets low marks across the board. 57% disapprove of how he's handling the economy. 59% disapprove of how he's handling the deficit. 45% disapprove of how he's handling the situation in Libya. His overall job approval stands at 46% compared to 45% who disapprove. The president thinks he knows what's moving his numbers. The price at the pump. Last night at a fundraiser, the president said, "I'm confident because I travel around the country and my poll numbers go up and down depending on the latest crisis. And right now, gas prices are weighing heavily on people. But when I talk to ordinary folks, they are not paying attention. And we understand the world is complicated." If you don't understand the world is complicated, and if you exaggerate wildly, and if you're crazy, this is the way you talk about gas prices.
Look at what's going on with your gasoline prices. They're going to go to $5, $6, $7, and we don't have anybody in Washington that calls OPEC and says, fellas, it's time. It's over. You're not going to do it anymore.
If you don't understand the world is complicated, you don't know that you can create worldwide economic chaos by not raising the debt ceiling when necessary.
I say no to the debt ceiling. No to raising our debt ceiling. Now, some people will tell you, but Michelle, you don't want the government to shut down. The government won't shut down. This is what will happen. Revenue will continue to come into the United States Treasury, and we will first pay off our debts, our obligations, and interest on the debt. That's the first thing we'll do so we don't violate our credit rating.
If you don't understand the world is complicated, then 140 characters is more than enough to articulate all of your thinking about the United States' role in Libya. At Sarah Palin USA tweeted, "Get in, hit hard, get out. Need to send the world a message. We'll only intervene in anyone's business if we're dead serious." If you do understand the world is complicated, there is no one left in the Republican Party who speaks for you. Joining me now is Howard Fineman, senior political editor for the Huffington Post and an MSNBC political analyst, and Richard Wolff, MSNBC political analyst and an author of Renegade, The Making of a President. Thank you both for joining me tonight.
You bet. Hi, Lawrence.
Richard, did these poll numbers hit the White House by surprise? Did they understand there was a trend building with these kinds of negative numbers?
No, they've known this is building for a while. Gas prices haven't just suddenly spiked, but they also know that in spite of all the vulnerability they have on the economy, there's only one set of numbers that are actually worse than theirs. And that's what voters say they think about Republicans, and specifically about the Republican plans on things like the budget or on cutting taxes for the super wealthy. So, you know, when people talk about hope and change here, you know, yes, they're hoping gas prices come down and people feel better about the economy, but they also know the risk of change is what's going to drive people in this dynamic we're going to see over the next year or so.
Howard, the president does have some high disapproval numbers in there for a president running for re-election, but the Congress has a disapproval number of 75%. How do you think voters are balancing that out, their disapproval of the Congress and their disapproval of the job being done by the White House? Where does that leave them when it comes time to vote for president?
Well, it leaves them in a quandary, and it leaves them very upset that the Washington hasn't changed. It is true that the gas price numbers are hurting the president right now. It's true that there's a lot of uneasiness still about the economy. As a matter of fact, it's growing again. But I think it's also true that people are a little disappointed in the president because he hasn't been able to change the way Washington works at all. Indeed, Congress is even more poorly regarded. Everybody wanted a bigger deal than was done on the last budget go-round. And so in an odd way, the fact that the Republicans and Congress are so poorly regarded, that the whole system is so poorly regarded, drags everybody down, including the president.